So I'm here still at the Luxembourg event, and I'm interviewing Paris. So could you briefly introduce yourself and what are you doing in the old world?
Yeah, I've made the trip from California, the New World. So I run Stand Up for Nuclear, the global initiative. So basically, I get to help out my friends and new people that want to talk about nuclear, maybe are protecting their nuclear plants from shutdown or starting the conversation in their country, like what we're seeing here today in Luxembourg.
And is the current situation in California? So the current plans is so not Sonolfree, but the other one, the Diablo Canyon, is open until 2035, I believe. But what's the future in California for nuclear in general?
I know. So origin story, everybody told us 4 years ago, 3 years ago, don't die on that hill. Diablo Canyon, California, are you kidding me? They would never reverse the shutdown of their last nuclear plant. But luckily, we had legislation that passed, so it is extended till 2035. But as you know, federally, they give out 20-year licenses. So Diablo Canyon can operate federally for a full 20 years. However, state regulations and state prohibitions will cut it off at the 5 years. So what we're having to do is we're going to push for legislation to be amended to take out that 5 years and for it to run for the full 20. And I think, unfortunately, it might be a kicking of the can down the road. It might be every 5 to 10. But as you know, with nuclear plants, long term is better. We just need them running. It brings down the costs. It reduces the stress. So now what we're doing is talking to legislators. Be like, hey, let's talk about nuclear. Now that we have some breathing room, right? Diablo Canyon's okay right now. PG&E, the company, is talking more about nuclear, and they're doing great. But unfortunately, a lot of legislators are like, wow, this is so interesting. Where is Diablo Canyon? Wait, you're pro-nuclear? And so it's, I think, very surprising to us that that's still the conversation, whereas federally, there's bipartisan support for nuclear.
Yeah, so has been quite a shift in especially the Democratic Party to become nuclear. How did that happen?
I think so. Under the Biden administration, this is one of the most pro-nuclear administrations we've seen in a long time. So we have Jennifer Granholm, who's the Secretary of Energy, and she, back in the day in her home state of Michigan, was anti-nuclear from what we could see. But I just think the energy crisis and energy reliability has become a big thing, and also with AI and data centers and the reshoring of jobs, it just all these factors culminated and came to a head. And I think people in the Biden administration, so that's staffers, their consultants, advisors, said, okay, guys, your nuclear fleet is one of your best assets. You need it. And if you want to provide strong societal benefits and prosperity, you're going to need energy 24/7, and it's clean. So it just trickled in, and then Biden was like, yeah, we're going to pass all the Inflation Reduction Act, and we're going to do the Advanced Act. So and I think from the work that we all do together, the consistency of been saying nuclear is good, you need it. It just came to a head, which has been great to see.
So what I've been wondering about, so the last few weeks, we've seen a lot of news on Microsoft, Amazon, wanting to fire up old nuclear power plants and building new ones, actually. So would that have an effect on California, you think? Because Silicon Valley is, of course, located there.
Yeah. So California, unfortunately, is not very business friendly. What we've seen, Tesla is moving to Texas, right? And a lot of the tech offices are you can work from home, But I do think California is going to be seeing all these big tech companies, and they're like, wow, these companies that we really like in our state that bring in a lot of revenue and good jobs, they like nuclear. I think it's going to make it so much easier to be like, okay, we changed our mind, we do need nuclear. And I also think it gives us breathing room for them to change their mind, because you need to be gracious with them. Politicians are very sensitive. So I do think it will have an effect. I do think it's going to be wow, that's going to be something new. I do not think California will be the first in line. I think it'll be other states, and they're going to get the benefits. And I think we need to learn a lesson a little bit of what happens when you don't move forward on energy and clean energy like that.
Just zooming out from the west coast to the east coast. So one of the plants that is being restarted is the infamous 3 Mile Island. The place where the partial meltdown happened in 1979. So, just for us back in Europe, why are we starting that again?
Okay, it's so funny because I think for me, I was like, guys, we couldn't have like maybe picked another site or another reactor, but I think it. I think it's such a big signal to see that the place that we're at, where they can, Microsoft is like, F you guys, I need power and I'm gonna go get it. And I'm gonna go do 3 Mile Island and we're gonna pay this premium price and we're gonna be able to say we're 24/7 clean power. So I think that is such a strong signal to both industry supporters and politicians. And I'm actually gonna go there in November. So I'm very excited to see 3 Mile Island. But yeah, this historical context, it's a rebranding, which I hope it goes successfully, of course.
I believe it was reactor 2 that was that had the meltdown. Is it open for public? Can you visit that or?
I don't think so, but I will check. But the waste you can, or the the spent fuel or the meltdown parts are at the Idaho National Lab, so you can see those. So there are parts that they've decommissioned in other facilities. But I'm curious to see, how close we can get, because as we know, there was no adverse health effects to the surrounding area, and it's a lesson. I think you should be open with it, and I think that shows. That's how you build trust and good connections and value to your community of like, this is what happened and what went wrong. And come see it.
Just to close off, what would be your message of hope for us here in Europe and perhaps maybe in Luxembourg for particular?
I think I've only been doing this for the last 6 years, and many of you all and other advocates have been doing it for a long time. I think we're at a pivotal moment, like what we saw back in the 50s, where nuclear can and should deliver. And so I think for us, this is our moment. The microphones are here. People are looking for an answer and for hope. And nuclear is it. And I think if we remain consistent, I think we can deliver. And I think we're in the most hopeful spot that we've seen in the last decade, which is, let's take it for that. It's one of the best spots to be in.
Thanks, Paris, and have a good trip back to the States.
Yeah, thank you. Cool.